Hello. We're, as usual, there we go. As usual, Instagram is taking its sweet time. There we go. All right. And we have Monica says, good morning. Good morning, Monica. And good morning, Ashley, or hi. I'm not sure if it's morning where you are. If you're in the States, then it would be either morning or just now noon. Here in Jersey, it is just now noon. Oh, and look, now we have Sarah. Yay, everybody's showing up right at noon today. Normally, you guys take a few minutes to show up, but everybody's here right at noon. And today, I almost forgot it was Wednesday, as you can tell by the lack of any sort of cool look going on today. I am, yeah, it was 10 when I realized it was Wednesday. So, I still had 2 hours, but yeah, I totally forgot it was Wednesday. Listening when you're filling out a new member application for the church that you go to. Well, that's nice. And Monique says hi. Awesome. Yeah, so tomorrow night, Friday morning at 2 a.m., we leave to go to Pennsylvania for our 2 weeks of being medieval. So that's exciting. It's 11 a.m. Okay, so Ashley is one time zone earlier than me, which would be, I guess, Mountain. Yeah, Mountain time is next. It's Eastern Mountain. No, it's Eastern Central. Central time is next. It's 1 hour. It's Eastern Central Mountain and then Pacific. In Prior Lake, Minnesota. Yeah, Central is next. Sarah got me. Yeah, Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific. And I am in Eastern here. So, yep. Yeah, so we leave Thursday night, Friday morning, 2 a.m. For me, it's usually more like Thursday night because I don't go to bed Thursday. I just stay up until we leave. But Doug, because he drives, he'll go to bed early on Thursday and get up in time to do the drive. But we have to be there. He has to be there at 9 a.m. on Friday. And some people will drive up like the day before and get a hotel. But I mean, I don't know. We've never even discussed it. It just kind of happened. Things just kept getting earlier and earlier as to when we needed to be there. And because he's the one who does land grab, basically there's this medieval event that we go to. There's like 12,000 people, right? And each there's like 12,000 people, and there's a bunch of different little camps within those 12,000 people. And then you can also camp as like what's called in singles, so you don't have a reserved space. But if you want to have a reserved space, you camp in a camp. And my husband is the land agent for our camp, which means he has to be there on Friday morning to talk with all the other land agents on our block and make sure everybody's happy with the land that they got. And, sometimes you go to the land and there's a hole that didn't used to be there, or there might be, who knows, whatever. Our land is usually decent. There's not usually big major issues, but I guess depending on where you are, there's like wooded areas and watery areas. There's all sorts of different areas. We're up on what they call the Serengeti, which is just a big ass field. Okay, so we're in a big field. Hence the Serengeti, because it's like a desert. We don't really have shade unless we make it ourselves and that sort of stuff. But it also means that we're by the merchants, we're by the battlefields, we're by the food court. We don't have horrible walks to anything, and we don't have to do the big old hill that goes down to the wooded area and lake areas and everything that can be a pain in the butt. So anyway, he has to be there at 9 a.m. And then, and he's allowed to have one adult with him, and he can have his children with him. But our children turned 18 a few weeks ago. actually 10 days ago. So he can, it's, there's 5 adults because my mom comes with us. And yes, he loves that my mom comes with us because my mom is awesome. So that means that this year he can go in at 9 with one adult, which might be my daughter. It might be my mom. I know. Like, why would my mom go in with him instead of me? The reason is I take meds that I take Effexor, which is for anxiety and depression. And it's one of those meds that makes you highly susceptible to like heat stroke and such. And so we don't have that. The first couple hours are very hot. There's not shade. You can have your, like, we have parasols and stuff, but we don't start setting up camp until like noon. And the rest of the adults who are helping with setup are allowed to go in at noon. So basically, to limit the chances of me getting heat stroke and ruining everybody's morning, I don't do the morning shift before we actually have shade. And then what happens is when we get there, we immediately get something up for shade, and I sit under the shade and I put things together. I put I put the beds together. I put the closets together. I put the kitchen together. I put everything together, and I help move things around and everything. I can do things in the sun. I just have to be able to retreat to the shade as soon as I feel like, I'm starting to hit my limit of the sun. So that is what we are doing. So we'll be going out, setting up camp in having our little medieval encampment. And my favorite thing about this 2 weeks in the Middle Ages, it's called Penzic, is that there are classes, and they're historical, but a lot of them are like arts and crafts. So what I learned at Penzic, I learned how to do tablet weaving, double face tablet weaving, which is like when you have your strands that you're weaving, which are your warp, right? And they go through these little square cards that have like a hole on each of the 4 corners. So each card has 4 strands of warp thread, and they might be 1, 2, 3, or even 4 different colors. Usually they're 1 or 2 different colors. And depending on which way you turn them, obviously that makes your weft going over or under, depends on when you turn your cards, but it also changes which color is on top. So when you do double face tablet weaving, each of those cards it's like if you think about double knitting, right? Where you have everything, if you're using red and white, everything that's red on one side is white on the other side, and everything that's white on one side is red on the other side. That's the same idea with double face tablet weaving. You would have 2 threads of white and 2 threads of red in that card, and so like when you want the red to stay, you would move it over 1 so that the red is still on top, and then move it back 1 so the red is still on top, and then when you want it to go to white, you flip it. It's really cool. There's different ways to do it, but yeah, the first way I learned to do tablet weaving was double face tablet weaving, which is the two-sided, which was probably the hardest one, but I just didn't tell her that I hadn't done it before. And because I happen to be a person that picks up crafts really quickly, she didn't know until she asked about halfway through the class. She asked me how long I'd been doing it, and I said, this is the first time, and she didn't believe me. So anyway, yeah, so I learned tablet weaving there. I learned to do lucette. You can get the lucette little forks from the lucette tools from Furls, and it makes that cording. I learned null binding, which is like a precursor kind of to knit and crochet. So many different crafts, book binding, and what else? Basket weaving. All sorts of fun crafts, just all sorts of medieval cool crafts. They have like dancing and everything. It's really, really cool. My husband does fighting, and my kids do a lot of the period games, and they also have youth and adult D&D games that happen throughout the 2 weeks as well. My daughter does Commedia dell'arte. So they have like little theater troupes, and there's always a little troupe that does Commedia dell'arte, and she learned about that there, and just loves it so much. And they have a youth troupe, and then a couple weeks ago, the lady who's kind of in charge of the whole Commedia dell'arte thing contacted Kyla, because they have each other's like email or Discord or whatever, to see if she would be do things with the adult troupe, and actually like offered her a part in one of the shows and everything. So that was really, really cool. She's super excited about that, about being part of the adult Commedia dell'arte troupe this year. And there are parts of the show, there are like things that you have to audition for while you're there. And then other things, I guess there must be some adult part that they plan ahead of time, obviously, if Kyla was invited to do it. So yeah, it's super cool, super fun. We have a great time, and I do lots and lots of crafting, and I get to have 2 weeks with my mom, which is awesome, and it's just, super fun. So with all that in mind, you all should tell me if there are any like medieval crafts or anything you would like to learn about, because I can always see if I can take some classes and share some knowledge with you. Like I said, I learned tablet weaving, stick weaving. So if you saw the thumbnail for today's live, there was a little bag on there that I made stick weaving. So that was stick weaving. There's non-yarn crafts. Last year I learned how to do Viking wire weaving, which is like those wire I-cords almost. There's various kinds of jewelry making. I have a friend who's taken some, I want to say it's called Pisanki classes, which are when you have the eggs and you empty out the egg, like you with just like the little holes, and blow out the egg, and then they put the design on them. It's Polish. They put the design on them, and they cover things with wax. And so you dye it one color. So first you dye it one color, and then you cover some of it with wax. And then you dye it another color, and you cover some of it with wax. And you keep going and keep going, so that like as you dye, the more and more you dye, the more wax there is. And it's, so it's all built, the colors are building up on each other, but each area that's getting dyed, there's less and less of it. And then you get all the wax off. You melt all the wax off, however they take it off. I'm not sure. I haven't taken the class. I've just seen what she's made. And you get those gorgeous, like, they almost look like stained glass eggs. They're so cool, right? So yeah, it is lots of fun. And oh yeah, those eggs, man, they are so cool. My friend also does glass blowing. She makes glass beads and such. Every year, I think I've told you guys this, and it's so funny because I'm the artist in the family. Well, it used to be, and now everybody's an artist in the family, right? Which is awesome. I love it. But I was always like, I was the artist in the family. And then, the kids started getting older and they were being artists. But my mom, the first time, like, I had taken a couple glass bead making classes, and I had done decent with them and really enjoyed it. And then when my mom started coming, when we were able to go to classes as the kids were a little older, we took a glass bead class, and she just picked it up so quickly. And now every year when she goes to Pensick, she takes one glass bead making class and makes a bead for every Pensick that she goes to. And she has it on her little necklace that she wears at Pensick every year. And it's like, and she just picks it up. She just picked it up right away. And now even when it's been like 2 years, even if we miss a year, she'll go back, she'll take the class, and she'll have this like beautiful, perfect bead. And I'm like, dude, what? And I'm like, oh, this is how people feel when I take other classes. No, that I can make a decent bead, but that's usually not until my second or third try. My mom just got it. It's so fun. I love it. I absolutely love it. Sarah said a grandmother used to make eggshell jewelry. Oh, take oval pieces of the shell and paste pictures. Oh yeah, that's right. Take the oval piece of the shell and paste pictures, cut out magazines on them. Yeah, I've seen those where they have like the oval piece cut out of the shell, and then there's like the picture behind it and stuff. I think that's it. All right, we have some comments over here on Instagram that I can't show you guys because it just doesn't work from here. Lynn's Craft says, took a class on smocking. That was fun to learn. Yes, they have smocking there. And like there's usually a class on like a pleated apron, like a medieval pleated apron. Do you have to pay extra when taking classes at Penzic? No, well, you only have, the way that the classes at Penzic work is teaching is on a volunteer basis, um, because this is the thing with the organization SCA. It's, it's fun, but it's also historical, and it's about kind of, education and enjoying ourselves together and everything. So the way that it's traditionally done within this organization is classes, the teachers are not paid. The teachers teach as a volunteer thing, and you usually get like, it helps you with your kind of rank within the organization and everything, and you charge whatever it costs for the supplies. So some classes are completely free. Usually, classes with a handout are just like $1 or $2, depending on how big the handout is. And then some classes will have like a regular, like a handout fee and a materials fee, because they'll say they have like handouts for 20, and but they only have materials for 10, because the actual making part of it, it depends on what you're usually, a lot of times you're having people who are just learning something, and you can put a skill level in there. You can put like, you have to, if this is like a certain kind of bookbinding where they need to already know certain basic skills, you put in that you need to already know these skills. Or sometimes people have a class earlier in the week and another one later in the week, and you have to have taken the first class in order to take the second class, and that sort of stuff. But a lot of times, if there's only so many people when you're teaching a class, and it's got a, limited amount of time or whatever, there's only so many people you can get taught in that amount of time. So a lot of times what happens is they'll have, a materials limit, so they can have like 10 people who can actually do the hands-on part of the class, but then they'll bring 20 or 30 copies of the handout for people who just want to go and pay attention. And if the teacher isn't busy helping somebody, they can ask questions and that sort of stuff. So I love that. I love that you can, if the teacher is only able to teach 10 or 20 people there, you can still go and kind of like audit the class, right? Some of them have age limits, some don't. It's super fun. Wondering if it was like a barter system, and was there knit and crochet. So yeah, with the classes, it is, you just pay so that the teachers aren't paying. So you pay for the handout, you pay for the supplies, whatever. The idea is that the teachers are volunteering, but they're not having to spend money, which they usually still have spent some money because, they had to bring all the stuff or whatever. But then, there is actually every year on, I can't remember what day it is. I want to say it's like Wednesday or Thursday of the second week. Usually they have Barter Town, which is in one of the big open area, like the big barn, one of the big barns, I think. I can't remember where it is now. You can go and bring things you want to trade, you want to barter. And so everybody goes to Barter Town with whatever it is that they have that they don't want anymore. Last year I had a friend who had several inkle looms, and then had won an inkle loom as well, and was like, well, that's fine. She took the inkle loom that she liked the least and brought it to Barter Town because she just had more than she needed, and she was able to trade it for something she wanted. People who have gained or lost weight sometimes will bring their garb that doesn't fit them anymore and trade it. Sometimes people will actually just like make things that they know people will like. handmade books or knit socks or, null binding hat or beautiful pottery, cups, drinking vessels, belts, whatever. And they'll have made it and they'll bring it with them to trade for something that, they want. Because, if you make these things all the time, you have plenty of uh, really gorgeous goblets, if that's what you do is make them. So maybe you wouldn't, but you have gorgeous goblets, but you'd like something. I don't know that they can actually trade mead there. I don't think they're allowed to, because that might count as needing an alcohol license to trade mead. I don't know if that falls under the same rules as selling it or not. But there are people who make mead. And there are even classes, I believe. Usually there's a class or two on making mead and everything. As long as you're not selling it, you're fine. I am like, yeah, there is no alcohol for sale on site. Yeah, there's no alcohol for sale on site. So they obviously don't have an alcohol license where people can sell alcohol. Even like, like you may have a license to sell alcohol wherever you live, but on the campsite itself, they don't have whatever it is that makes them able to allow other people to sell alcohol. So there's no alcohol for sale on site, but you are allowed to drink on site. So like people will bring it in from off site. And if you bring alcohol with you, you can certainly share it. So there's that. And a lot of people will bring homemade mead. And people will trade outside of Bartertown. I just don't know what the rules are inside Bartertown as far as mead goes. I know there's certainly no problem with, like, if the person you camp with makes a bunch of mead and you've made a bunch of really nice pleated aprons and they want some pleated aprons and you want some mead, you're allowed to trade. That's not a problem. That's not breaking any laws at all. They're always very cool, very on top of making sure that laws are being followed, because there's so many people there. We are technically considered a town. There's a mayor and everything. And, it's a big income for the surrounding cities and everything. So they take it all very seriously because nobody wants to get in trouble and not be able to do this again. Monique asked about knitting and crochet. There was definitely 100% there was knitting. I will tell you that 100% there was crochet, but people don't always agree with that. There's a big debate on, was there crochet in the Middle Ages? Now, the reason why I say there was is because 10 years ago, all right, I just had my 20th anniversary, and this was on my 10th anniversary. 10 years ago, my parents were stationed in Italy, in Chireale, which is in Sicily, and we were on an island off of Sicily, and they have an Egyptian museum. Okay, and here, okay, Lynn's Crafts over here. I clicked on it. Oops, and no, I don't want to report it. Cancel. There we go. I clicked on an Instagram comment like it would share, but it doesn't. Generally, you see, yeah, Lynn's Crafts obviously is also a Penzic person. Generally, they will even decide ahead of time if they want to take on the liability for the liquor sales. It was a big deal who can apply and what rules need to be followed. So the event will decide ahead of time if they want to take on the liability for liquor sales. It's a big deal who can apply and what rules need to be followed. Yeah, and they have strict rules about selling anything. There is a marketplace, and people they have like tents or whatever. They sell things in the marketplace, and you have to you've rented that marketplace space ahead of time. You're only allowed to sell items if you have a marketplace spot. So I could not bring stuff with me and sell it there because I am not an official vendor. Now, if I have a friend who's a vendor, or if I meet somebody who's a vendor and they will take on like consignments or something, I could sell my stuff in one of their shops because technically it's their shop selling it. It's not me. I just have an arrangement with that person. It's like when people sell patterns on the Crochet Foundry site, it's being sold on Crochet Foundry, but we have an arrangement where they're getting their commission or whatever from that. So it's, but at the end, I'm the one taking on the responsibility. So it's on Crochet Foundry. So it's the same thing like with the merchants. They have to, they get a merchant booth or merchant. They say it's a booth, but it's real, like they get a spot of land that there's tents. They put up tents and sell from their tents, and a lot of them just stay in their tents. They have to actually get a they have to actually have registered a camping space, but most of the time they actually camp in their tents, which are completely allowed to do. So like we have sometimes the ladies who run this awesome spice shop called Aunt Arwen's, which is a great, I know I've told you guys about it before. It's a great place to get your spices, even not period stuff, but like even non-medievally. I get all of my spices for all year long. I get them from Aunt Arwen's. And here, I'll find the link for you. There, a lot of times they will actually, here, hold on, I can't, we have flies, and it's really annoying because, like, I don't know what happened, but like we suddenly ended up with tons of flies in this house. Oh, it is Auntie Arwen's. Okay, Auntie Arwen's. I've only been shopping there forever. You would think I would know. And so it's just AuntieArwins.com. Here we go. Let me put this up here. I'm going to go here and make it like a comment so you can see it here. All right, so there we go. It's AuntieArwinsSpices.com. AuntieArwen Spices, SPICES.com. AuntieArwinsSpices.com. Yeah, it's just amazing. Their spice mixes are amazing. Everything is awesome. And sometimes the ladies who run it will actually officially camp with us, but they stay in there. They actually, they don't like put up a tent or anything in our space. Usually they just stay they camp in their tent. A lot of the merchants will have like the tent separated, so there's a back area that's like their stock and stuff, but it's also like where their beds and everything are. With that being said, though, I mean, I've never heard of issues with theft or anything like that. Like we tend to treat our merchants really well and be respectful of each other. The crime there is much lower than you would expect with a town of 12,000 people. But I'm not going to pretend like there isn't any. And there's also food vendors, and the food vendors are, again, if you're not a food vendor, you're not allowed to sell food. There are like pre-packaged, like some packaged things you can sell. So I'm pretty sure like I don't think that Aunt Arwen's has to have a special food vendor license because everything is sealed, right? But if you're buying food to eat there, if you're buying unsealed food, then that's obviously a food vendor license. And so a lot of those are more like local places, but they come up with like medievally themes or whatever. So there's that. And oh, right. So the knitting and the crochet. So the issue with the crochet is a lot of people will say that there wasn't crochet then, and that things that people have found that they say are crochet, it's either a certain kind of knitting or it's null binding. But when I was on that island off the coast of Sicily, and went to this there was a papyrus museum, okay? So we went to this papyrus museum. Papyrus is what the ancient Egyptians would make paper out of, right? They had these papyrus sandals, and papyrus, I feel like it's like a reed, initially, but they could make like cord and rope and such out of papyrus. Okay, so there'd be like cord and rope out of papyrus, and there were these sandals that were papyrus sandals. So they were made, the papyrus had been made into like a cord, and then the cord was turned into sandals. And they weren't woven, they weren't knitted, they were 100%. I mean, like, because they were right there in front of me with like the little, like, there was a little glass thing that they were in, so I could like practically touch my nose to it, right? I'm like, look at, I'm like, that's single crochet. I know this is single crochet. That is single crochet. So I'm looking at it, and yeah, it was 100%. It was single crochet. Those papyrus sandals were single crochet. There is nothing else they could have possibly been. I was standing there for like so long, like following the trail of the little papyrus cord, and those papyrus sandals were 100% single crochet. I know they were. So, you know, this was pre-Middle Ages. So if they were making crochet papyrus sandals in ancient Egypt, then yes, there was crochet in the Middle Ages. Like, I mean, obviously, I am not a historian. Okay? Not at all. I'm not a historian. I'm not a doctorate. I'm none of those things. But I would consider myself a crochet expert, and I promise you, there were single crochet papyrus sandals in the Papyrus Museum, on whatever that island was off the coast of Sicily. So unless they screwed up and those sandals were nowhere near as old as they said they were, yes, crochet has been around since at least ancient Egypt. But I know there are plenty of experts out there who will argue with me, and I tend to believe my own eyes. So it's very annoying to argue that point with me because I believe my own eyes. Yeah. So there we go. There's the crochet. So yeah, when you're making items for the medieval reenactors and everything, you tend to have better luck making knitted or null binding. Yeah, try it. Most people will not consider crochet, period. I do, but I still tend to make things that were knit, or if I do crochet, I'll do like slip stitch crochet, or something that, or like the waistcoat stitch that looks more like knitting, or Tunisian crochet that looks more like knitting. I tend not to do so much of the actual crochet, traditional crochet for the medieval stuff, because most people don't consider it, period. And to them I say, so yeah, there's that. I'm not sure what this is. Is this what you call those shoes? Is that what that is? I'm not sure what you're saying there, Monique. It's one word, and I don't think it's English, so I'm not really sure. And I don't really speak Italian or Sicilian, so I'm not sure. Although I guess that would be ancient Egyptian if you were talking about the sandals. Brain fry. Yeah, so we're leaving 2 a.m. Friday morning, Thursday night. My mom lives in North Carolina. My parents live in North Carolina. And she is flying in tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow evening the 5 of us are going to go see the Fantastic Four, and then when we get back, I'm sure my husband's going to bed until it's time to leave. So we then leave at 2 a.m. and he drives, and we have a trailer. So I have my car. I have I used to have a Chevy Trailblazer, and then that died at Tenzik a couple of years ago. So that was like 3 years ago. We went to go home, and the car was dead. Took it to the mechanic, dead. Like, that car was not getting us home. like we could have driven, he could have made it so it would drive us like, a quarter of the way home, but then we'd be in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, we ended up getting a hotel, staying a couple extra days, and there was a whole thing. We figured it out. We got home, and had to buy a new car. So now I have a Honda Pilot, new to me at least. So yeah, now we have the Honda Pilot, and we have a trailer. So we pack everything up and head on out. And because of the trailer, my husband, because of the trailer, and because I have astigmatism, I don't do well driving at night, and I have no experience driving the trailer. My husband is fine driving at night, is fine driving the trailer. He used to work for a moving company when he was like right out of college, and he really is, he does not mind the driving at all. And so, I'm like, I will learn how to drive with the trailer, we can practice whatever. But he's like, no, it's cool. Even before we had the trailer, he never wanted to trade driving. He just wanted to do it himself. So he drives the whole way. It's like a 6-hour drive, but in this case, it's through the middle of the night. It didn't used to be, but it has been for the last several years, because we need to be there at 9 a.m. And I don't know, I guess after spending the money on 2 weeks of vacation, we should have thought of getting an extra night in a hotel. I don't know. We've never even talked about it. Like, he's just like, no, this is what we do. I'm like, okay, you're the one who's going to do it. So if you're cool with this, you're cool with it, right? So yeah, so there's that. And yeah, so are there any other crafts you want to ask about, or any other medieval crafts you want me to maybe learn more information on? Last year I learned how to make Turkish coffee, and I even now make Turkish coffee at home because I was able to get the little Burano, the island, the name of the island. There are a couple islands off the coast of Sicily. I'm not sure if that was it or not. I'll have to ask my mom what the name of it was. That doesn't sound familiar, but I could be totally wrong. Like I said, it was like 10 years ago. So I'll have to ask my mom what the name of the island was. Although I suppose maybe if you look up Papyrus Museum Sicily or Papyrus Museum Italy, it might tell you, and Monique's going to tell me I did, and that's what it told me, because my memory is crap. So she's probably right. Monica loves Turkish coffee. Last year was the first year I have like a sore on my tongue. I bit my tongue right back here the other day, and so I keep like talking funny because it's it's swollen a little bit right there, and so it like gives me this lisp sometimes because like my tongue is bigger than usual because it's swollen because I bit it. So that's why I occasionally am making weird sounds with my words, because my tongue is swollen back there because I bit it. Last year, yes, Monique actually told me an awesome story about Ethiopian coffee. Bruno is off the coast of Venice, Italy. Oh, I spelled it wrong, I'm pretty sure, but it's known as the Island of Lace. Visited there. That is cool, Monique. It is definitely then not the island I was on, because the island I was on was off of Sicily. It wasn't that far from Archirelli, which is my parents, like right at the base of Mount Etna is where their house was in Italy, right at the base of Mount Etna. And it wasn't, it was like, I think a couple hours drive, maybe. It wasn't that bad. Might not have even been, it was probably 2-3 hours, maybe 4 at the most. So last year was the first time, and I hope they're doing it again. I haven't checked the classes schedule yet, but they had, because they have like usually around 15 to 20 class tents. There was one of the tents that was called, it was the African track. And so all of the classes taught in that class were on medieval Africa and, crafts and history and everything. And I ended up, the funny thing was, I hadn't even realized there was an African track until I was there. And like the first time I took a class in there, it said that, and I read the little sign. I was like, that's so cool. It turned out I had like 3 or 4 of my classes that I went to were there, because they were all things I hadn't taken classes on that just sounded so intriguing. Because they were encouraging people to start, there hadn't been a lot of classes or anything within this group about, what's happening in Africa during that time period. There's nothing about what's happening in America that time period, because it's, it was not America yet. It was still, I would assume it was, I don't know when the Indians, I said that, didn't I? Native Americans, how long their history goes back for, but I would assume they were there doing whatever the Native Americans did during the medieval age. I know nothing about this continent. I know nothing about either America continent, the North or South America continent during the Middle Ages. All I know is the European continent during the Middle Ages, and now I've learned a little bit more about the Asian continent. And also, I'm sorry, the European continent and Asian continent, I guess that's kind of one continent, isn't it? They share, but Europe and Asia. And now I know a little bit about Africa during that time period. But one of the classes I took was on the history of null binding within the African continent, and that was really, really cool. There are some African tribes that still do null binding for like ceremonial attire and stuff. It was very, very cool. And then a class I took there was Ethiopian and Turkish coffee, and so she taught about both Ethiopian and Turkish coffee. She had bought several like sets of the special coffee pot that they have to make the Turkish coffee in, and some of the little mugs that you drink it out of. And then she'd put those together with the Turkish coffee, the Turkish coffee, like, it's so fine you don't even want to call it grounds, but I guess it's grounds, and sugar and cardamom, the cardamom pods and everything. So she'd made little sets that you could get with the, and it would all, which one it was depended on which size the coffee pot was. And so I bought one of the ones that made 2 cups of coffee. And those aren't like 2 cups, like 8 ounces cups. Those are like 2 of the cute little cups. But yeah, that was a really, really interesting class, learning about Turkish and Ethiopian coffee. And she taught us a lot about the Ethiopian coffee. And Monique here, see, if you come to the sit and stitches, you get to learn really cool things. Like when we had our sit and stitch after I came back from Penzic last year, and I was talking about that, Monique said that she, here, wait, Monica says not the same, but you use Belletti coffee to make strong coffee espresso. Cool. Monique had actually been to somebody's house who had made, they were Ethiopian, and they made the Ethiopian coffee. And so she had experienced kind of the Ethiopian kind of coffee ceremony. And it's not so much a ceremony, but the way they do it. And it was so cool, because I was like, oh yeah, we were learning about Ethiopian coffee and how they do this and that and the other thing. And Monique was like, oh yeah, I've done that. I was like, oh my God, tell us all. It was so cool. Yeah, Monique says she really enjoyed it. I love, Monique, that you said you went to the Isle of Lace. Did you learn about making lace? Has anybody taken classes on making lace? Because like, yeah, the way they roasted it, that's really cool. They actually roast the beans in front of you with the Ethiopian coffee. And then once they're roasted, they pass around the beans for you to smell them, and then they crush them, and then they make the coffee, and then they pour the coffee. They make 3 things of coffee so you'll have 3 servings of coffee. First they make the first serving, and then they use the same grounds to make the second serving, and then the same grounds to make the third serving. And when you're done with the third serving, it's time to leave. Although apparently they did not kick Monique out after the third ceremony. Monique has learned how to make lace, and her grandmother used to make it too. See, that is so cool. Like, there are lace making classes at Penzic, and I haven't taken them because I'm terrified that I'm going to fall in love with it, and then that will be one more thing I have at home that I'm going to try to do. So, yeah, I've done some of the, what I have taken classes on, is the, I can't remember what you call it, but when you like have, you see it a lot on like handkerchiefs or like little hats, like bonnets or whatever, where you cut away some of the threads within like the linen, and you also just like embroider around them. So you embroider like the eyelets. When you make eyelet holes, there's nothing's actually cut, it's just all kind of pulled with the way the stitches are. But then you can also make the full like window panes where it's lace, but the actual strands of the threads, the warp and or weft of the fabric is within that kind of lace, right? Some of it is cut out, but some of it, the sewing is done around. I took a class on that last year that was really, really cool. I think I might take a couple more. I took some classes on gold work, like embroidery. Most of the classes I take tend to be centered around, fiber. I have taken some woodworking classes and some other things, but most of them are around fiber. So yeah, let me know if there's anything you guys would like to learn about, that is a medieval craft, and I will, bring back some information for you. Today, our sit and stitch is from 6 to, it's from 6 to 8. And I believe I did actually open it up for anybody. So if you go over here, we'll just real quick show you again where it is, where you can find the information. If you get the newsletter, here we go. You already have the little link you can click on to get to tonight's sit and stitch. If not, you go to crochetfoundry.com and you go to community. If you're on a mobile device and you don't see this navigation menu across the top, you'll see the 3 lines, the hamburger menu. You click on that, it'll give you this. It's usually down the side instead of across the top. With community, there's an event calendar. Click on event calendar, give it a moment to actually populate. Everything is slower right now because we are live. But here we go. Come on. We have events. Oops. Yeah, July. Here we go. July 23rd. So this is us right now. But then if you go, it says it's the Patreon Live Creators Social. Oh, you know what? I put a link in the newsletter. So there is a link in the newsletter from this weekend. So just check your newsletter from the weekend, and that is where you will find the link. Normally it would be here. This was going to be one that was only open to Patreon, and so the link wasn't there. What I can do is when I'm off, after we're done here, I'll toss the link into here. Okay, so I just need to like find it and change it out. So I will put the link in here, so you will be able, rather than clicking on this, that'll take you to Patreon and you won't be able to get in if you're not a patron. I'll change that out to make sure that it's one that anybody can click on. And our live sit and stitch is from 6 to 8 Eastern time tonight, it is now 10 till 1. So that would be 5 hours and 10 minutes from now is when the live sit and stitch is tonight. I will fix this in our calendar so that you will be able to find it. And then I think on my other window, yes, I opened up Auntie Arwen. So this is Auntie Arwen Spices. See this, no packages will be shipped out July 19th through August 20th due to Penzic and restocking product. Yes. So they're actually in Connecticut. They have a space. That's where they like normally ship out of. But so you can actually get all of their spices. You can ship from them. They're amazing. They're good people. They are our kind of people. Um, and they have spices that are specifically Middle Ages and historical. They have cocoa mixes and tea mixes, salves and ointments. They're really, really cool. And they even have do they have the dragons listed? um there are these dragons you can buy from them, and the money goes to like soldiers, some soldier charity or whatever. And it's there's, oh, here we go. Dragon, let's see, dragon adoptions. Okay, the funny thing is you can adopt a dragon, and somewhere on here they have how to take care of your dragon video by Vero. That's my son. He did this in middle school. He had to make a video, an instructional video. And so he had a dragon from Auntie Arwen's, and so he made this video. Let me pause it. He made this video on how to take care of your dragon, so you guys can watch it. I'm not going to make you watch it now because that's just a silly mom thing to do. But going anyway, wait, stop, no, stop. There we go. All right. So yeah, he made that for class, and it was so cute. And so we sent it to them to show them, since the dragon he used in his instructional video was one he had bought from them, and they asked if they could put it on their website, so they did. And you see it says video by Vero. That was before he had changed his name. So when we told him that he had changed his name, they went ahead and changed it to his new name, because Vero is his name now, but it didn't used to be. So they changed his name and everything. They're so sweet. It's awesome. Yeah, so they're cool people, and their herbs and spices are amazing. All right, guys, go ahead. You know how to email me, support@crochetfoundry.com. You can reply to any newsletter I've sent out, and let me know if there's anything specific you want to know about Penzic, or you want me to take classes on at Penzic so I can share information with you, or anything like that. And I will hopefully see some of you in a little over 5 hours at our sit and stitch. And as soon as we're done here, I'm going to hop over to this calendar and fix it so that that link is a link that everybody can use. All right, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to get some lunch because my tummy is going, feed me. And yeah, I'll see you soon. And that also means that for 2 weeks, I will not be seeing you at all. So there'll be the next 2 Wednesdays, we will be silent over here, and then we will be back. All right, so you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you soon. All right, bye-bye.